I welcome you back from lunch. Let us continue. You leave it there now. It's okay. We have a problem of semantics in Christianity. We have a problem of semantics in Christianity. We talk in terms of being saved by grace, and yet we work very hard to be saved. Can the two make sense? You can't have both. Other religions have come out in open. They don't have vocabulary like grace because they have no savior. You see, they save themselves through a lot of work and dedication and working and doing good things and all what their holy books are saying. That's pure religious behavior. The people are very good. They are very good people. You talk with them, they have no problem. But for them, whatever they do that their God, whoever that God is, others, their gods have names so that God may bless them, give them everything. Now this is where we have a problem. And I would like first of all to clarify that one. There's nothing wrong in doing good. In fact, we should continue to do good. There's nothing wrong in giving back to the church what you have. There's nothing wrong in that. But the platform you use in doing all that, that's what matters in Christianity. Other religions have made themselves very clear. They have no forgiveness. They have no the word grace. Grace is purely forgiveness, which comes when you have not contributed anything and you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it, but it has come. All right? Fine. After we have cleared that is semantics, it is very hard to now the other former circle. After much work, you bring somebody to these circles here. For example, that individual is a new creature with good works. Yes, he has heard that Jesus came to die for her sins, of course, or for his sins. And so he is there to cooperate with Jesus. Cooperate with Jesus. So we are cooperating with Jesus. 50-50 maybe, or 40-40, or 60-40, whatever it is, you cooperate. And I hear such a kind of loose talk, very much in fellow Christians. Yeah, if we cooperate with him, if we cooperate, even to reach that level of cooperation, it is a war to pull somebody from that religious circle to come to a level where he concedes or she concedes, yes, I'm saved by the blood, yes, and since we are not sensitive to semantics and wording, we say maybe I must also, we are always under pressure of the so-called cheap grace. If you say it is free, that is cheap. What is the expensive grace? Show it to me. You use adjectives which don't have sense. That is cheap grace. Okay, if it is cheap, show us the expensive one. We don't have it. There's no expensive grace and cheap grace. Grace is a word which is only used by Christianity. Not even Judaism, for your information. It doesn't have the term. It can only apply only on God. God is kind, gracious, and what have you. But a Jew was never saved, or his relationship with the Yahweh had never been on the level of grace. They never understood it that way. God tried very much to flash the word through prophets, but it was hard to capture. You see, Hosea, for example, you see, he tried his best to love the unlovable. You see, but it was very hard to get because of the religious background. Now, many of us, we are suffocated and choked with that religious background. We cooperate with Jesus Christ, yes, with him, and then for human salvation. Go on. This is precisely what a Christian has to be. We have to move all the way from religion, cooperating with Jesus, and we are in Jesus. Yes. If you come to this level, then you will be sensitive to what you are trying to say you are a Christian. Yes. It must be, you see, new creature, totally dependent on Jesus and Jesus Christ. This is what shocked Paul on the road to Damascus. Paul was always a new creature, not a new creation, but always a new creature. Now, having been a new creature, that one day Paul was so presumptuous in the book of Philippians to say, when I stood before the law, who can complete? You people who say you know Bible. You see, that's why we can't go far, because many of you don't know Bible. Let me, when you read Philippians and Paul says, I was a Jew, I was circumcised on the 8th day, blah, blah, blah. But when I stood, and I was a Pharisee, but when I stood before the Lord did what to Paul? Declared him blameless. That's what he says. When I stood before the Lord declared me blameless. Can any of you say that? But that blameless man, according to the law, when he meets Jesus Christ on the road to Damascus, he is going to be shocked to discover that he's a new creature, yes, but he doesn't belong to a new creation. The new creation is when you are in Jesus completely. You are stuck as a human person. Whatever good things you do them in Jesus Christ alone. When we give, we respond to what Jesus has done for us in gratitude. Now, let me give you a story when I was a pastor. When I was pastoring in Uganda, Uganda is a poor country. It has always been so, and the chances are that it will perhaps never change. Maybe, perhaps it will change when some of us are dead. But there's no any hope for now that Uganda will be anything in the next 20 years. I was a pastor. I was pastoring a very big church, central church in Kampala. You see, yes, I pastored it for 2 years. And you know, I checked. I found out that I had a church member who is working with the World Bank and is well placed in the World Bank hierarchy. But he was not giving tithe. You see, he was not giving, I didn't say paying, giving tithe. You see, tithe is not a poor tax. It isn't what do they call them here in Kenya? It's same thing. It's just to take away you and you say K. It isn't a URA or a KRA. So I said, hey, what can we do? What can I do to talk to this brother that he gives to the church. He supports the church. He supports the work of God. Remember, I was a pastor, and on that support is where I was eating. Are you with me? Yes, and so it is incumbent upon me to inform you that tithes and offerings are supposed to be given freely for the work of God. So I go I make an appointment. In those days, apart from the officers of the field who have cars from tithe and offerings, I was the only pastor driving in the entire field. So you can see how poor that thing is. You see, so I was the only one. But which car? I haven't explained. You see, driving is one thing, but which car are you driving? You see, I have been a farmer all my life. And so in those days, I had 60,000 layers, chicks. And I was taking eggs, 100 trays every day from my farm. And in 2 days, I was taking 200 to my shop, whereby the retailers come and then take as many trays as they want. I had been nicknamed Reverend Eggs. You know, those non-Adventists. Has Reverend Eggs come? Has Reverend Eggs come? Fine. Now, I had an Isuzu KB. And it was an old Isuzu, but I had fixed it in a way that it had very good engine and a gearbox, and I was a king in Uganda by that time. Others were moving with their handbags, pastors were walking on foot, sweating in coats and in suits, I see, so on and so forth. You see, they wished they were like me, but now you stay put. I talked to this church member and he gave me his address in high-class areas, Kansanga, near Muyenga, and so on and so forth. He says, when you come, I'll be there at noon waiting for you. The high-class pastor of all pastors, who is the only one who's driving on the lower level, proudly jumps in his KB, and then he drives to a very big gate where the address said I should go. And the watchman at the gate peeped out. He had never opened that gate for pickups, for vehicles which look like a mine. He had never opened a gate to a vehicle which looked like a mine. Now, follow the logic very carefully. I'm going to tell this brother that if you don't give tithe, you are under curse. Are you with me? Yes. Hey, follow now. You have now picked it. You are under curse. Malachi says, catastrophe. But if you give, Malachi says, you will be blessed, and God will rebuke the devourer on your behalf, because there's too much food and you are not eating enough. He said, why don't you eat? This watchman peeped out and this get cheaper. And says, hello, sir. Yes, sir. Where are you trying to go? I said, inside. He says, no, sir. I said, but I have an appointment. He said, no. What do you mean? He said, show me. I said, it is not written, but I have his card. He read and then he calls. Yeah, open. I entered with my KB, and when I had parked, and looked around it with the cars of UN, World Bank, which were surrounding my KB, I realized why the gatekeeper was not going to open for me. Mine was a wheelbarrow. It was simply not a car. It was a wheelbarrow. And a man who drives a wheelbarrow has been paying tithe forever. By the way, the tithe is chopped automatically from our paychecks. So there's no way you can eat it. No way I can eat because it is automatically chopped off. Yes, and for years, I've been, all the years of 45 years, I've served, 47 years I've served in the church. I have never missed to give a tithe, not even 1 month. Whether somebody in the house is dead, they chop. You don't tell them that, oh, my kid is now unto death. Chop. But I was driving a wheelbarrow. And I'm going as a pastor to inform this brother that the curse of Malachi is upon you, because you are not giving tithe. Now, of the two, who was under the curse? Oh, no, seriously. Let us really use common sense in this camp meeting, seriously. Of the two of us, he told me that his padima alone, when he goes to New York, he told me the sum, and the sum pays my salary for 2 years. 2 years. His padima, I'm not talking about his paycheck. If he goes to New York for a meeting for 1 week, the padima alone can pay my salary for 2 years. And here is a pauper coming to tell this rich man that you are under curse of Malachi. And I am blessed. Does this thing work? You people, you read these quick things, and you see, you are lucky that we do live in poor countries, and poverty is also part and the parcel of our motivation. But if you analyze issues, God is informing you, you have to change your teaching in these things and the theology. Now I go, and he met me on the steps. We climbed through perhaps 5, I think, and the door was opened by the maid. Even the carpet at the door to clean your shoes was cream in color, telling you, if you have common sense, that remove your shoes immediately. Remove your shoes? Yes, because where you are heading, you don't know. And sure enough, his carpet reached my ankle here. Now, if I am armed with the Malachi, won't I sound foolish? Won't I sound foolish? Waving a finger in the face of the man who is so rich and informing him that he's under curse. But anyway, I went anyway, and we started chatting after eating, and then I told him that, brother, we are shareholders in the God's kingdom. Oh yeah? Oh yes. God has honored us so much that we are his co-workers. Have you ever seen a tender written on the bank of heaven? No. God expects us to work with him. He has honored us to such a level that we work together with him for his work here to continue. Without you participating, his work cannot go forward. You see, he needs you. He says, fine. And when I checked, sir, sorry, but I didn't see that you are a shareholder. He says, yeah, I am not. He says, why? Because for a very long time, listen to what is coming. For a very long time, I have been told that people who want to be blessed are the ones to give tithe. But for me, who is already blessed, I stopped. Because God has already blessed me, and that means the purpose of the tithe, it is no longer applicable to me. But you are the first pastor to inform me that we are shareholders and we are co-workers. I said yes. And when God blesses you, he knows very well that his work is now safe. It will continue because of you. You see, we have to know very well that good works don't take us to heaven, but it's a response. We are responding to what God has done for us. Therefore, that's why we should be in this category. Jesus' circle, it has engulfed us. You see, we are in there. And my new creatureliness, totally Jesus Christ. And when I respond and I give offerings and tithe, I am not standing on the former platforms that God may see me that I am special. When I went to Kigali, one man came with tears in his eyes. And he said, Pastor, I just sold my 2 cows. And I had given God my tithe. Pay attention to this thing. Some of you have no way you'll ever get these things because you don't go where we pastors go and meet these comments fresh and head on. And he said, the other cow, I took the money, the wall of that church, it was falling. Look, my 4 kids were chopped to death when I was hiding somewhere. Where was God, whom I gave my tithe? You see, wrong teaching cause animosity to God for nothing. We are living in a sinful world. Nobody has said that simply because you are in Jesus, everything, no problem will come to you, unless this old world has been transformed into a new earth. Are you following me? And here is a man accusing God to have not protected him because he gave him his 2 cows. The platform was wrong. I told him what you did is good, but the platform you were standing on in giving was erroneous. He says, Pastor, tell me, how can it be? Yes. I told him, giving, yes, go and sell more cows, because now you have seen that it is all, you see, to amass them, sell, but give to God on a different platform. Oh, okay, fine. But thank you. But give to God when you are standing on a different platform, knowing that you are thanking him for the goodness he has done for us. Nobody has said don't ever do good works. But God forbid to think that your good works is replacing Jesus' place. That can't be. You see, Jesus is the only answer which can take us to heaven. And Christianity is the only religion which can come this far. You see, which can come this far, that you are in Jesus, and whatever you do, you are responding to Jesus, the culture of heaven. God will always tell you that the culture of heaven is giving and many others. Since you have accepted to come and live with me by faith on your own, please prepare yourselves or yourself for new culture. Heaven does not commit adultery. Begin practicing now. In heaven we don't steal, but your culture where you are, that's your game. Begin practicing now. In heaven we don't hate each other to a level of killing each other, but where you are, your culture is different. Begin practicing now. Let me tell you a story. When I was at the age of 15, I was adopted by an American family. You can now wonder, what on earth is this man doing here when he was adopted? Yes, I was. Seriously. I was adopted by the American family. They took me all over. When they were packing, they said, we are taking you. I could not believe it. We went anyway. Let's make the story shorter. I lived with them. They were all white. I lived with them. After my education, they were very generous people though, because they told me you can go to UK and go to school, Middle East, you go to school, and then after that come and go to US schools. I became an adopted son. That is an entire sermon of its own. You don't know the privileges you get when you are adopted by the people who matter, you see. Yes, and so I enjoyed all those privileges. And I know when Paul says God has, in Jesus, he has adopted us, I know precisely what that means, as far as I am concerned. You see, I got all the privileges. I remember when I was in the UK, in London, I had some problem with the visa, and then I rang my mom, who was a personal secretary to the governor of Iowa. And immediately the governor's office wired the embassy in London and says, why are you holding that young man there? You see, I was 20 then. Can you imagine? I have seen things. So please, you just pay attention. I have seen what? Things. Says, what are you holding that young man in that embassy for? Oh, says, please, release him in 6 hours, because even his air ticket is already at Heathrow. And the consul apologized for that. At 20, I was pocketing when the consul is apologizing. Now, how can a young man of that level come around and end up driving a KB where they will kick him out of UN's office? Those are also other stories. I have so many. You can't exhaust them, and I have to have them because I am 72. And therefore, a time came and we negotiated with my parents that I think I am more comfortable back home than in US. I see people say, of course, they have property to go to US, but me, I wasn't comfortable with the country. I had reasons. because I was a black man, I living in a white community, and they have their own averseness. When black people come, too many near them, they would like to sell their property and again move. Anyway, so we agreed to visit each other anytime. But what I want to inform you is the coming visit. When I'm already big and I was at Chiwenda, so I got to visit my parents at Des Moines, Iowa. It was Christmas. It was coming. And then the governor was planning for a party, a year-end party, a big one. Now remember, my mom is the personal secretary to this governor. Therefore, she convinces this governor to give me an invitation to attend the party. Governor's party. Can any of you ever dream attending a governor's party of US? I'm coming. Where on earth? So, one afternoon, she drove in around 6:30 and she came, Reuben, where are you? I said, here I am, mom. She says, here you are. The office of the governor. I said, what's this? He says, open, and then you will see. I opened it, and there was a card with a seal of the governor of Iowa inviting me to the year-end party. You see, among the VIPs and the exclusive people who have contributed much to the Iowa state. I thought that I was dreaming, but I knew that that was the work of my mom. And so she told me, now Reuben, says, Mom, you have to sign that card. Follow this thing carefully. You have to sign it. Because for us here, we don't cook food for throwing away. We make exactly the food of people they will eat. It is not like where you come from in Africa, where people turn 60 when they have never known how much they eat. And they just fill their plate and they eat halfway and they dump away. That is only found where? On that continent of yours. But here, sign. So I said, give me a pen. I put it down. REUBEN Mugerwa. Mom, 2 copies. 1 copy is mine and another copy was hers. After that, she asked me, do you know what you have done? Say what? I don't know. And many of you Christians, you act exactly the way I was. Do you know what the implications of your signature? I said, I know. It is to go to the party. She says, yes. Reuben, this party we are going to attend is not like any African party you know of, whereby you eat bread with the blue band as a party and etc. I said, okay. This is an exclusive party. Forgive me. I have to transform you from Africanism to the culture of US if you are going to enjoy the party. Then it was 2 weeks to the party. The game started. She told me, look, there will be 9 servings. Yes, ma'am. There will be cutleries like a spoon, what have you, of different sizes. Yes. And I'm going to show you each one of them and what they do. Yes. For your happiness. Yes. What they do. This is for soup. This is for this. When you are eating thing which isn't rice, this is what you use. If you are eating rice, this is what you use. We don't use no spoons to eat any of those foods. Spoons are not used. They are only used for soup. but not to eat. People will see you using spoon, eating rice. The people on that table will say, where did this hooligan come from? So I went through the coaching. I listened very carefully. I practiced. Okay? He says, for the carrots which have been cut, this small fork is what you use to go like this and then eat the carrot. Meat, this is what you do. I practiced. And then she told me, I will not be with you. I am among the people who are preparing this at the back. You are going to be on your own. I said, fine. Now, show me how did you come? Did you come with any suit? I said, no. How can I carry suits from Uganda when I'm coming to US? It is always vice versa. It has to be that I carry suits from US to Uganda. He says, okay, I'll buy you. Do you want a suit or half pieces? I said half pieces. You don't buy me a suit. Fine. Do you want a tie which matches with a coat, or you want one which matches with a shirt? And I said, what is the difference? She told me that once a tie will match with a jacket, you don't remove the jacket. But if a tie matches with a shirt, you are free to take off a jacket. Yes, they are coaching me in the culture of the party of US. Though I had been there for many years, we had never faced this exclusive thing now. So I must know precisely what it is. Now, Reuben, it is now a while ever since you went back to Africa. I said, fine. Okay. Listen to me very carefully now. Before we start, you are going to chew this gum. Otherwise, when you speak there and you say to people hello, and the breath, we are not sure. The breath may cause alarm. Therefore, go on chewing on as we drive and continue to chew. But when we reach and we are packing, don't put it out of your mouth and throw it out as you Africans do. The guards will arrest us. You put it in this napkin and leave it on the dashboard, and we will bring it back in the dustbin. But just don't eat. This is not Africa. Yes, ma'am. Okay, fine. When you enter the hall, the chair, lift the chair. Don't pull. The moment you pull that one, they will say, which hooligan is this one? Reuben, even if the soup is so nice, the aroma is so nice and so good, don't put in your container 2 spoons. You serve yourself once. One thing, I know you Africans very well because you lived with me. Yes. Now, one thing I want you to again teach you for the last time. When they come to you and they say, sir, can you have some more? Don't say no. As if you are quarreling with as if you are quarreling with some. No. No. You say, no thanks, with a smile. So I practiced. So I went to the mirror. Yes. So I go into the thing. I look in there in my bathroom. trying to smile artificially. It was very hard. No thanks. No thanks. But what can we do? We are practicing for another culture. Are you with me? Yes. No. For us here, when people say, "Can you want some?" say no. Rudely, even no. I said, I am full. No, listen. Learn to say no thanks with a smile. I said fine. So I practiced all that for the party in my room, everywhere. I said, my you people, you don't know how much I practiced. When you enter that whole Reuben, yes, Mama, you will see several which you may call a handkerchief or whatever. I say, one of them is white, brown, green. The one which is brown is what you use to, wherever you eat, that's what you use to clean your lips, so that food does not come this far. You see, yeah, I have seen people in Africa, food sometimes passes up to here. Please, Reuben, oh please, it was a plea. Please, whatever you put in the mouth, make sure that you use, don't you use white, it will stain. And when you put it back on the table, people will be disgusted. Use that color. The white is over here. The green is over here. Are you okay now? Yes. You think you are ready to go? I said, I think I am ready to go. Okay? Don't shake ladies' hands before they give it to you. It is out. Don't just say, yes, hello, hi. That is in African way. Say, hi, everywhere, even ladies, we slap, we laugh. Yes, we laugh, we grow up. Says, no, Reuben, here, you, in this party, if she doesn't respond, if happens she's there, leave her alone. But don't say, hello. We don't behave. But when she brings her hand and say, hello, you respond. The big day came. Perfumes. She had purchased me a perfume because I told her I don't carry these things from Uganda to come to US. I come with the empty suitcase, knowing that when I will be going back, it will be full, isn't it? Yes, I simply can't carry all that. The perfume must not be loud because people are not interested in your perfume. They are interested in the aroma. The perfume must only be detected when somebody is very close to you, very close, but not to enter in a room when it is pervaded with perfume. The big day came. I dressed, well trimmed. Then I come out and says, now you look good. Jump in the car. Fine. She says, chewing gum. We started. Yes. And we drove. Immediately we parked in the parking lot. Boo. She says, napkin, please, out. I put it in the napkin, put it here. Don't throw it out. Now, Reuben, you are on your own. Enjoy the party. It was hard to be alone. I thought that if she's there, I will be psychologically, I will be safer. When I came at the door, I met two young men, very trimmed, and they had put on the jackets, you know, these ones which go up to this end, beautifully, and then a bow tie. And I said, hello, sir. Hello. Could we see your invitation card? That's only what they were looking for. Before I could enter the hall, could we see your invitation card? I pulled it out. I showed them. They gave it back to me and says, hello, sir. Have a good evening. But let me punctuate my presentation. What if I came there, no card, and I said, I know spoons in that place. The big one is for soap. The smallest is for ice cream. I know. I know this. I know. Those are now wax, isn't it? They would have told me, thanks for knowing. But people who enter here must have a card. What you know with the spoons and the forks and name them, and desserts and appetizers, name them, it is not what makes you enter here. Heaven, let me tell you, please go back there, back, please back up quickly. Heaven, to go back there. Come back. Heaven, even if you are a new creature and you have good works, name them. That everybody is coveting your good works, and you are not in the blood of Jesus Christ, you will never enter there. Are you following me? Please, let this sink in your minds before you go to tell others. You will never enter. As I wouldn't have entered in the governor's party if I did not have the card, even if I went through the intensive coaching of the highest magnitude. I couldn't come and talk to those two young men at the gate. But you know what? You don't know whom you are talking to. Yes, I have gone through an intensive preparation for this party, and I think I deserve it. They will tell me, sure, thanks a lot for your time which you have dedicated to get in the intensive coaching. But where's your card which makes you enter? Let me assure you, Jesus Christ is the only card Christianity knows of which takes you to heaven. If you are under any dreaming spree that sharing cows for building churches is the answer for heaven, you are wrong. There's nothing wrong to sell cows and you build churches, as long as you are not on this platform. Please get my saying. As long as you are on that platform, you will never make it. Jesus came on this planet when there were already people who know God, isn't it? Is that a wrong statement? Answer me, all of you. Jesus came in this world to die when there are already people who knew God, isn't it? Yahweh, Jews. Jesus came to die when there were already people who had the commandments. Isn't it? Yes. People came to Jesus came to die on this planet when the people are already keeping the Sabbath. More strictly keepers than you people. You people, you don't even come half of those Israelites when they are keeping, those rabbis when they begin to keep the Sabbath. I told you I took my education there. I lived there. I am not just a book reader. The Pharisees begin keeping at 3 p.m. And they began by baptizing themselves. So in their houses, as you have bathroom in your house, a baptistry was a must for a Pharisee. His work was to baptize and cleanse himself. It is not Christian baptism, for theirs is Christian, it's baptism for cleansing. You see? And then after that, they can go in hibernation. They could hibernate. Because if they don't hibernate, that means if they don't lock themselves in their room, they may end up meeting temptations when the holy hours are coming. They shut themselves up. Even unto this day, those ones who are staunch Pharisee descendants do so. I was on the ship deck from London to Stavanger in Norway. I went by ship. And there I met a rabbi. We talked. He was so happy that I have been to Israel, I've been to Middle East. We talked. It was a Friday afternoon. Suddenly he disappears. He had rooms for the ship. Me, I was a poor traveler. I had decided to sleep on the deck. So it is cheaper. But for him, he had a private room somewhere. So he suddenly disappeared at 3. He reappeared quickly because he had forgotten something. And when he reappeared, I didn't know that he was a rabbi. I began to begin to talk to him, thinking that he has come back, and he didn't answer me a thing. He looked this way. Why? He will explain it to me later. When we reached Stavanger, he told me, I'm sorry, sir, because after the Sabbath, he came very happy. I also returned the fire. I also, why can't I look this way? We were all together and you looked that way. So he came, I said, don't waste my time. That's when he started to apologize. And he says, and he never knew that I was a Seventh-day Adventist. For us, we have our Sabbath. And we begin to cleanse ourselves at 3 p.m. And we don't talk to Gentiles anymore because we will be defiled. See? Can you, do any of you keep like that the Sabbath? Jesus came to die when there are people like that. Then what did he come to do? Please back up there to the state of sin. Who? He's gone. State of sin. Yeah. Come down a bit. Yeah, there. That's when you'll be able now to get it. We are now pursuing what did Jesus come to do here. When there were already people who keep the Sabbath, who don't commit adultery, who do not steal, who speak the truth and the truth alone, who do not kill. Which many of you know very well that if you overcome those, you will go to heaven, isn't it? This is a serious issue. To me, this is life and death. Thank you. Yeah, now this is bigger. Good. What did Jesus come to do to a society which already knows God, who do not worship idols, and if they find you worshiping an idol is death penalty, you can't be blasphemous, and there were people like a Paul, who said, if I stood before the law, it declared me blameless completely, the whole law. What relevance, let me ask, what relevance did Jesus have to Paul? You better now begin to wake up and know the uniqueness of Christianity. But let me go back there to the party. I entered. Lights all over. Then I remembered. Let me stop to look too quickly and too much. You see, others people will say, is this villager? Where is he from? I was looking for a table where maybe there are some blacks there, and then psychologically, none. I could not see nobody, but I saw a girl and a young man. I don't know whether they were a couple or they were trying to date. I don't know. They said, oh, come what may. Let me sit here. I lifted that chair. I lifted it back. I sat. None of them said hello. Not even hi. Hi is for USA. Hello for UK. And I remembered that don't just see me here. Fine. I did not also bother, you see. Then they began serving food. The waiter came, and then the soup was so nice, very tempting. I remembered the voice, don't serve yourself twice, because everybody will say, wow. Remember, there's 9 more servings. Wow. What's so? Reluctantly. Because the aroma of soup, Mama, the governors, they are very lucky people. I put once, and there was another temptation. She says, sir, can I add you some more? Now it comes to, you know the way we answer. No. Then the voice of my mother rang in my head that you said, no thanks. Then I went through that. You see? Yes, I began to eat. I even overdid it, you know. Eating, making sure nothing. Halfway of the party, the girl began to say, hi. I wanted to ask her that all along I've been here. How come now you are saying, but rudeness, I had been coached. Don't speak anything which appears rude. Hi, I said hi. Then she says, where are you from? Uganda. Uganda in Africa? Yes. It is far. I said, sure. Sometimes it is 17 hours flight to 20 is far. But let me ask you something. Yes. Do you have this type of parties in Uganda? And I said, plenty of them. Because everything was moving on right, isn't it? Yes. Every time things are moving on what? Right. Do you have so many of these parties in Uganda? Says very many of she was actually shocked. Because they know very well that in Uganda, Africa, there's animals. What? She had never traveled anywhere. She was a typical provincial American. And she forgot that she's talking to a cosmopolitan traveler. Sure enough. So I said, these parties. So I relaxed. These parties in Uganda, we have a lot of them. But where I was waiting for another question. Where does Uganda, poor country, get the money for these parties? But what I'm trying to say, I scored on the culture because I had been coached. Similarly, God tells you, if you have accepted me by faith and you want to change from where you are to come to my culture now where I am, the cultures are different. Yours has been marred by sin and degradation. You are hopeless behavior, everything. You are hopeless. That's your culture from the day you are born. You see, yes. Attacking people, minimizing this, that, complaining of this, feeling bad here and there. Your culture is rotten. But you are coming to a culture which is different in heaven. Let me reveal a bit about the culture of where you are coming. Because once upon a time, God created beings who in the long run did not want to stay there. Is that a wrong statement? I come again. We have enough proof that is some of God's creations. There were creatures which came to a certain level. How long? We have an idea. Whereby they were no longer happy to stay in heaven. Because they were not there to be asked whether they want to be there. That's why they chose not to. And God told them, bye-bye. If you are not happy here, bye-bye. But leave my righteousness here. But go. And God is not going to do such a blunders anymore, you see, with us. That's why he has been revealing himself, and the whole week we are going to cover how God has been struggling to reveal himself carefully and to us so that we may know him. Here you are. And he tells you, you have chosen me? Yes. You love me? Yes. I love you too. The conditions of your coming here are already paid for. Your ticket is already signed. Yes. However, where you are coming, it is not the same culture and from where you are coming from. Therefore, begin practicing now. Yes, in heaven we don't steal. Please, I know it is going to be hard for you in your culture. But try, with my help, I will help you. Are you with me? Yes, I know it is hard. Because even in that culture where I was, for me, I decided to come home. It is not easy to fit in some of those cultures. Brother, you don't know. You go there while you are a young man and the day has just dawned. You go there, you remember my words. There it is individualism, not communal. You see, your problem is yours alone and your family, not other families. People can't pass away and then you begin to cry. My husband has passed away. They will call a police immediately. And as you my husband has died, mama. Thinking that the whole world will stop because your husband is dead. The police book. Don't shout for people. This is your personal problem. Go to the funeral home and pay up the price and shout as much as you want, but let others sleep. But here in Africa, somebody passes away, the whole village can't sleep in its home. It must go to console people. That's what we do in Uganda. We don't sleep in our houses. We go to where the deceased is. We sit there, and they serve us food. You see, they are the ones who are in trouble, but we are expecting them to cook. Very, yeah, and they must again cook for us to eat. For one day, second day, eating. Such a kind of garbage you can't find it there. So feeding in such a culture is not easy. So God knows it, that with my weaknesses, which are inborn, which is me in particular, that my weaknesses are too many by my culture. He is telling you, begin to practice now for heaven. Not to be saved, but to get an inkling of where you are going. Yes, you practice. In heaven, we are very generous. Practice here now. Yes, when people are in need, give them, if you are able, give them even advice that they are not continuing to be in need. A lot of things. You see, covetousness, it is a bad culture and a whole commandment. So that when we reach in heaven, we will not say, hey, I'm shocked. Here we don't speak a lie a bit. He has been so clear. No adultery, no stealing, no killing, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, you have to worship. You have to worship only one God. All of that. Now, we go back to that place. I haven't finished my party though. After the party ends, they began to give gifts to those who have performed well throughout the year, this and that. But in their reading, I was shocked to hear that among us here we have a visitor who has traveled, who's coming from very far, and is very far from his home. Hey. By the name, yet he has mastered all, exactly. He has mastered our culture so well that it is amazing that just a visitor can master the culture. Were they watching? But I actually overdid it. You see, seriously, I won. Seriously, I won. Whether you like him or not, but I won. And says by the name of REUBEN Mugerwa. Now I want you to see me walking from that far to the governor's podium for the first time and the last thing in my life, I think. I walked as if my legs have no joints. I hold in my hands two cultures. The African culture, I have it in my hand. The Western culture, fully mastered. And I come here, I came to the podium and they gave me a big gift. Woo! I go and sit, everybody's eye were transfixed on the African, from the poorest country on earth apart from Zimbabwe. From the poorest country on earth apart from Zimbabwe, mastering the two cultures very well. But you know what? Immediately we went home, I gave it, the gift I gave it to my mom. I said, this is your work. You deserve this, not me. This is your work. All my endeavor was to show you the place of works vis-a-vis faith, which all of you are always confused. You see? Yes, vis-a-vis faith. Now, having said that, I want you to study this thing very carefully. Look at the state of sin. You see, yes, God's forgiveness, loving, acceptance, grace. And this is the state of sin. And out of the state of sin, there's sin or sins. The moment Adam and Eve sinned, and they were going to displace God from being a ruler of this state, God withdrew his righteousness. And throughout the week, from now you'll be able to understand the book of Romans very well. Sorry, I am not saying that you don't understand, but please accept your limitation. Yes. Accept your limitation. Don't think that the Bible is a newspaper, that it was written yesterday. Now, from now, you'll be able to read the book of Romans and you'll be able to understand it very well, however problematic it may be. Now, here we are. It is in the state of sin, that's where sin is come from. Immediately, God withdrew his righteousness. The place did not remain vacant. The wrath of God, or the anger of God, settled in. That's why Paul says, where once there was the wrath of God, but now in Jesus Christ, a mystery has been done, that God has created this planet anew, and his righteousness is just dangling before our eyes, to whomsoever wants it and believes, which was not there before. He withdrew. He can only return it after, when he is creating. Now, that's why the people like Paul, who were already new creatures, had no passport to belong to new creation. Jesus is the only passport which makes us to belong to new creation. There's a new creature and a new creation. New creature, I have explained to you, is formerly an old man, bad behavior, turned good, which some of you were, and you have turned good. And since you have turned good, you think Jesus came when everybody is bad. You see, this is where we go wrong. Jesus did not come because everybody was bad. Jesus came to take away the state of sin, to demolish the state of sin completely. And the moment by demolishing the state of sin, was to bring back the righteousness of God back on this planet for anyone who has faith and who wants to change status to go to heaven. That's why God doesn't force you that come to heaven. He only pleads. It would be very easy for God to say everybody come to heaven, but there are people who don't want to go to heaven. Don't project. In psychology, we call that projection. What you are, and you think that everybody is like that. No. There are people who are not interested to go to heaven. You are interested, but there are people who are not. Number two, many of you here, you may be interested for selfish reasons. Many of you have read that there is streets of gold in heaven. Given that half of Africa is engulfed in poverty, now when you hear streets of gold, you say, hey, I would like to go. Because of gold, yes. Will it help you? I don't know. Fine. Number two, you have heard that when we go to heaven, we will be eating free food. And since starvation is rampant in our communities, poverty, starvation, and which is accompanied with ignorance, lack of analysis of anything, we say, we are lucky to go to heaven. You want to go to heaven because you have been told that people there don't die. And so now you do remember my relatives died. I want to go to where? To heaven. For me, none of those. Because even if I die forever and I don't go to heaven, I will not feel it. I will be gone. Are you with me? Why do I want to go to heaven? Let me explain why I want to go to heaven. Whether there's streets of gold, sea of glass, we don't ask how come is a sea and again it is glass. As long as it is in the verse, we just shout anything as it comes along. Fine. I don't want apples of heaven. Even here I eat them. I don't want gold of heaven because I am not going to do business, personal business with the gold. You see, I don't want free food because for 70 some years I have been eating to my full. Why do I want to go to heaven? Because of everlasting love, not everlasting life. I don't want to go to a tyrant where I'll have to stay with a tyrant forever and ever. I marvel, some of you want to go to heaven, but have you understood where you are going? Seriously. If you come to me and you preach to me, can you convince me, says it is reasonable and it is understandable that I join you to travel to heaven? God has taken over 8,000 years revealing himself to us the best way he can do it. And that is going to be a subject of our camp meeting. You see, God revealing himself. And that's the theme of my new book, The Defenseless God. You see, why is he suffering to reveal himself? He has been accused that he's a tyrant. You cannot live with him. He is very difficult man to live with. That is the accusation, by the way. And you don't take time to investigate that accusation to make sure, is it true? If God is a tyrant, I don't want to go to heaven. Let me pass from being to nothingness. Because from a nothingness, that's where I came from. But I am not going to stay with a tyrant forever and ever. And you too also unknowingly, you promote that element of saying he's a very hard man. How? You pray for something from him, and when he doesn't answer you quickly, you begin to fast to punish yourself so that he may quickly answer. And then when he answers, you say, hadn't I fasted? Hadn't I fasted, I wouldn't have received this. Now, where does the credit go? To God or to the faster, the sufferer? I'll walk around and I'll promote not God, but fasting. You fast, have you asked? Yes. Has he answered? No. Fast. Fast. A God who cannot give me now when I ask. Which guarantee do I have that if I go there, he is a good man? Why can't you ask yourself such a question? We promote things when we are not thinking that the devil is using us again. He is using a thing which would have been otherwise a good thing to prove his point. This God of yours, now fast. When you fast, he will give you, because you will see arusas are bleeding. You know, there was a girl I saw in Kampala. He says, Pastor, I have fasted for a week. And I said, why? Go, because I wanted a visa to go to Canada. A visa to go to Canada. This Canada thing, you fast for a week? For what? To go to Canada? Yes. Now, have you received it? No. Why? I don't know. That's why I came to you to help me. If God can't help you now, you come to... If God cannot help you, now you come to a mere human being. What can I do? Yeah? But you know, Arusas have started. Even I do feel them here. And then I asked her, do you want to go to heaven? Oh yeah, heaven, I want to go. You want to go and live with a God who now can't give you anything, and Arusas are bleeding. Have you thought who he is? She looked. You see? God is not at a gunny point to give you what you are asking. Let God be God. He can give you better thing than what you are even asking. And God has been giving us a lot of things before we even ask. Simply want to go to Canada. Do you know where you are heading? Some of us who have been there, we are like Lucifer. We have been in those countries, and we packed our bags and we came back here. Are you following me? Now people are fasting with the Arusas to go where some of us came back from. And you cannot convince them otherwise. I said, what is your biggest concern to go to Canada for? Oh, you see, there if I have any job like sweeping, but sweeping, you fast to go for sweeping? The state of sin. Me, I look at the people. The state of sin is something which Adam ushered in, not sins. Sins are the results of the state of sin. The state of sin came, it covered the whole planet. Are you with me? If you read my book, Righteousness by Faith, it says, it is not only humans who die, even insects die. These insects, have they committed adultery? Answer, time is over. Have they stolen? Have they broken the Sabbath? They are just poor insects. But we find them and we step on them and they are gone, dead. I always observe when I kill some. I said, the state of sin, you see, you are dying. Trees die. Do they die because they have committed adultery? Do they die because they have stolen? When will you begin to ask some bigger questions? Don't you see that there's something fundamentally wrong? That sins and they are just symptoms, but there's something bigger, you see, which can be the work to enter heaven. Tomorrow, we will begin from here. As I clarify why good works works, because I know this is where your biggest problem is. Why big works, the good works cannot inherit heaven? Commandments. The commandments, when we say we are saved without the law, we are saying the commandments did not contribute anything to our salvation. Otherwise, if commandments were to contribute, God would have only said, keep my commandments and you will come to heaven. Isn't it? Simple. People are like a Paul who would have entered heaven because he has already claimed that he is blameless. But he never entered it with his blamelessness. He needed Jesus. That's why in Philippians, after that he says, all things which once I thought that they were gain and they were wonderful things, now I declare them as a murphy. Hey, what a language. But I should have Jesus Christ, because it is the passport to heaven. Good works is a response. You see? Yes. And no good work or works could change the state of sin. It is only by God himself to come and offer his blood, and then he removes that state of sin. Once the state of sin is removed, sin is also disappear. When he will come and burn and recreate this planet anew during consummation, and we go when we are changed, the state of sin will be no more. Even sins will be no more. Sins to God are not a problem, but the state of sin which Adam ushered in is the problem. God bless you.
All right, thank you, Pastor. Even if it is time, maybe you can allow one or two questions, because this is the only time you have to ask a question. During the other sessions, Pastor will be preaching. So, if there are any questions, please.
Fridays for the questions, because you may ask a question which I'll be handling tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So let us keep them. If by Friday your question you feel it is not answered, then you can ask it. Okay? Yes. Because we want to go slowly until we have fully understood salvation. What is salvation is. And when you go to heaven, what are we expecting in heaven? Tyranny, be on our knees every time, or love, everlasting love, endless love, whereby we are enjoying with our Father in heaven. And I will give you the history of such a kind of phrases, our Father, and when did they begin, and how did they start, and what is the implication therein, and thereof.
Good. With that now then, I may wish to call the choristers to come for the closing song, after which I'll ask our head elder if there are any announcements.
We'll close with song number 109, Marvelous Grace. Shall we rise?
Marvelous grace of our loving Lord, grace that exceeds our sin and our guilt. Yonder on Calvary's mount outpoured, there where the blood of the Lamb was spilled. Marvelous grace, infinite grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Marvelous grace, infinite grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Sin and despair like the sealess gold, wetting the soul with infinite loss. Grace that is greater, yes, grace untold, points to the refuge, the mighty cross. Marvelous grace, infinite grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Marvelous grace, infinite grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Marvelous, infinite, matchless grace, freely bestowed on all who believe. You that are longing to see His face, will this moment His grace receive. Marvelous grace, infinite grace, grace that is pardon and cleanse within. Marvelous grace, infinite grace, grace that is greater than all our sins.
Our gracious and kind and heavenly Father, your grace is greater than all our sins. Let us not be overworked and be overworried over issues which you have already handled. What we need, Lord, is only faith, and ask you to allow us to be in you. And let us walk together hand in hand, carefully and slowly, so that someday we will reach you and we stay with you, not only for one day, but forevermore. Thank you for the everlasting love you have showed us. We are going to study a lot this week about you. This week is about you, nothing else but about you. Because many people have no idea who you are. We mix a lot of heathenism in our understanding of the way you work. As the heathens do, we think that's the way you also behave. But Lord, be with us this week and continue to bless us this week and give us your Holy Spirit for us to understand more, so that we may see that Christianity is not just another religious movement, is more and greater than that. Thank you for hearing our prayers. This is our humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Happy Sabbath once more. Happy day. We want to thank God. I believe that we've been able to see and hear what we expect to get in the course of this Sabbath week. It's my prayer that we'll all get an opportunity to come on all the days so that we can partake of this. We need to go, but we need to understand what is it that we are going with, and that is what Pastor is trying to explain to us.